All right, today on The Explainer, we're diving into the absolutely incredible story of how a multi-billion-dollar tech company, one that was right on the verge of dying, completely reinvented itself for the age of AI. If we don't fight for this, we are dead. I mean, you can't get much more direct than that, right? Those are the actual words from Intercom's CEO. It really paints a picture of the stark reality they were facing as this software behemoth that had totally lost its way. So, this is a story about a massive, high-stakes pivot, a real Hail Mary pass, taking them from the edge of shrinking to becoming a true AI powerhouse. So the billion-dollar question is, how in the world did they pull it off? Okay, let's get into it. To really get this, we got to go back a bit. Before this whole AI rebirth thing, Intercom was, well, it was a fading giant. On the surface, it looked like this huge success story. I mean, on paper, everything looked fantastic. The company was valued at over $1 billion, pulling in hundreds of millions in revenue. But you know how it is. Those big vanity metrics can hide some pretty ugly truths. And underneath it all, the engine was seriously stalling out. After 5 straight quarters of decline, this is what their new revenue growth had ground down to. A big, fat 0. Think about that. The company was literally about to start shrinking for the first time in its entire history. So, what went wrong? Well, the old Intercom was suffering from a classic case of late-stage success. It was bloated and slow, its strategy was kind of all over the place. And get this, their pricing was so complicated, it had literally become a viral meme online. They were just losing that connection with their customers. Okay, so things are looking pretty grim. And then, right when they're at their lowest point, this huge shockwave hits the entire tech world. And it was both a massive threat and, as it turns out, a golden opportunity. And it all happened so fast. You had ChatGPT launching to the public in November 2022. The very next month, the original CEO, Eoghan McCabe, comes back to find his company in a total crisis. And then, boom, just 1 month later, the internal AI team has a working prototype of a new AI agent that they're calling Finn. And McCabe just got it instantly. He said, AI is going to disrupt in the most aggressive, violent ways. He knew this wasn't about adding some cool new feature. No, this was about survival. The choice was dead simple. Disrupt yourselves or get disrupted. So, to wrench this massive ship around, McCabe goes into what he called wartime founder mode. And let me tell you, it was radical and very controversial. He basically said, forget consensus. No more building alignment. He just started making calls, top down, to force change fast. And his first move? He literally rewrote the company's core values to be a sharp knife to, in his words, cut out the parts of the company that just weren't working anymore. And these new values, wow, they were designed to be provocative. Phrases like, we work incredibly hard, and shareholder value is the most important thing. It was a filter, you know? A way to find a very specific kind of person and, well, to get rid of everyone else. And what was the result of taking this cultural sharp knife to the company? A staggering 40% of employees turned over. Think about that for a second. Almost half the entire workforce was gone, either because they quit or because they were let go. Yeah. This was not a smooth process at all. You had all this internal friction, letters being written to the board, even what they called a soft coup attempt. It was painful, for sure, but McCabe was absolutely convinced it had to be done if the company was going to survive. Okay, so now you've got this new, leaner, more focused team in place. And Intercom is ready to go all in, betting the entire company on its new AI agent, Finn. And this is where the story gets really wild, starting with a pricing model that, on the surface, seemed completely insane. You have to see this to believe it. When they launched, it cost Intercom about $1.20 every single time Finn solved a customer's problem, but they only charged that customer 99 cents. They were literally paying for people to use their flagship product. So why on earth would they do that? Well, according to McCabe, pricing should come from value and not from costs. He believed the cost was their problem to solve later. They were making this massive bet that the value to the customer was so huge and that the tech costs would eventually drop. A huge, huge gamble. So, the big question is, did the gamble work? Oh yeah, it paid off. Big time. Intercom didn't just pull through. It was completely reborn as a leader in its field. And just how big was that payoff? Well, Finn, That AI agent they were losing money on is now growing at an incredible rate of over 300% a year. It's on an absolute rocket ship to becoming a $100 million business in record time. And it wasn't just Finn. The entire company turned around. Look at this chart. After nearly hitting negative growth, Intercom is now growing faster than 85% of public software companies. They went from being at the back of the pack to the absolute top tier, the top 15%. So in the end, they actually pulled it off. They went from this big, slow, fading giant to a lean, fast, AI-first leader. And the key takeaway here? They successfully blew up their own business before someone else could do it for them. You know, the Intercom story is just such a powerful lesson for right now, in the age of AI. It shows that sometimes survival means you have to make these bold, even painful choices. And it really leaves all of us with a pretty tough question to ask ourselves. What part of our business needs a sharp knife?